Let's go!
What's up, dudes? Max here, back with some impressions of Mortal Kombat 1. Big thanks to WB Games. There was recently an event where myself, Kenny, and Steve got to go to check out a little bit of an early preview of what's going to be in the game, and it isn't that far away. It's about less than a month away from right now. And this early preview event had a couple of elements that we get to chat about. One in this video is obviously the single-player story mode, and the other one is another focus of single-player content, which is called Invasions, which we'll talk about in another video because there's just a lot to it and more to sort of discuss and dive into and sort of explain what's going on. But I wanted to give you my impressions on the story mode because we did get an opportunity to play through this portion of the game, and it is essentially the first chapter. And the first chapter is dedicated to Kung Lao, so we were able to play Kung Lao for the first time. Anybody that's seen the game so far in the previews and events, there's been quite a few characters that are in Mortal Kombat 1 that we haven't had full breakdowns of how they play, if not have had very small snippets of their gameplay. And Kung Lao was definitely one of them. So I think I'll talk about a bit more of his gameplay in the next video of Invasions because there's a good reason for it, and I'll explain why in a second. So yes, in this chapter 1, you start off as Kung Lao. You get introduced to the main bad guy of the story, which appears to be Shang Tsung in some way, and also a sort of interval character that is coming back from Mortal Kombat 11, which seemingly, and we don't have direct confirmation of this, this is just pure speculation, that this might be Chronica of some kind, which is directly relevant to the entire timeline changing in Mortal Kombat and the events of Liu Kang becoming the new sort of like overlord of everything in the new universe of Mortal Kombat. For anybody that's unfamiliar, yes, this is a completely revamped universe. It's essentially a reset of the Mortal Kombat universe, which is why some characters look a bit different, maybe act a bit different, and have different relationships than before. But just talking about the story mode in general, it's essentially setting up something pretty similar to what you might be familiar with in previous Mortal Kombat story modes, going all the way back to MK9, where it is a cinematic story mode. We don't have anything in here so far that is similar to MKX QTEs, where there's a little bit more interactivity in between the story mode sequences. That wasn't anywhere present here. It was fairly similar to what you recall in something like Injustice 2, if not Mortal Kombat 11. No clue later on if there's going to be any choices or things that alter where the timeline goes, because again, we only had access to this first chapter of it, but it was good. It doesn't really set up for anything crazy plot-wise at the start, other than the fact that the characters are doing completely remedial tasks and are completely normal people in this version of Mortal Kombat in this timeline. And, you know, other associated characters like the Lin Kuei and others that you run into later on are kind of like thugs, street punk / like mafia thugs looking for rent protection, you know, and all that kind of stuff from little old ladies. So, yeah, the bad guys are clearly the bad guys and the good guys are clearly the good guys. I'm hoping that it leads to some interesting twists and turns. And we don't really get that in this portion of the story mode, but in terms of execution and visuals, ridiculously good looking and quite a bit of fun. The thing I wanted to mention about Kung Lao, which is what I wanted to hold off in his like gameplay impressions, is that early on at this snippet of the story mode, Kung Lao doesn't even get access to his hat. So you get a handful of his special moves, but he seemingly is going to go through potentially a transformation of some kind where he obviously gets access to his full palette of specials, which he does have in the game. And yes, there are more special moves that do become available to Kung Lao when you play his regular version of the character, like in versus mode or other gameplay modes. In this one, he starts off with a limited moveset. So I don't know how that's going to directly interact because, again, that's something that's happening a bit later, but it is interesting that you only have like a few specials at your disposal, and the usual stuff between hat spin, you know, and all this kind of wacky stuff you said from previous games is not really here. So I'm assuming you just get it later because obviously the dude don't have his hat yet. Other than that, fairly positive impressions of the story mode so far. I'm looking forward to it. We were sort of deciding what we were going to do with the MK1 story mode and how we were going to play it, and I think everybody everybody else agreed, we're probably going to do a live stream event when Mortal Kombat 1 comes out, and we will play through the story mode with the compendium of all of us at Yo Video Games. So we'll have, you know, all of us in-house. We'll make sure the audio is okay so we can hear the game properly and subtitles, and all of us making comments about what's going on through in, because every single time in almost every single NRS game we've been making content for the past 10 plus years, we go through the story mode all together because, you know, I feel that's just a more enjoyable situation. I think the only one we didn't do that with was MK Aftermath because we were, you know, sort of locked down from COVID. But, yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing how Kenny and Steve react to some of their, like, fan-favorite characters. I'm interested to see how things are changing from the previous world of Mortal Kombat and seeing what they do with them. So, anyway, pretty solid impressions. Can't really say much about the other characters that you fight in here because it is so far in between and so few. But, hopefully we get a good idea of what the story mode looks like from this video. I'm going to let some more footage of the rest of the story mode run out through you guys so you can see some more fights and matches and how maybe some of the other characters play that were not playable in this version of the game. And stay tuned. There is another video coming up a bit later today about Invasions mode, which is the other single-player story mode that is sort of replacing the Crypt in Mortal Kombat. There's a lot to talk about there and a lot to show off, so again, appreciate any subscriptions. You guys staying tuned for that. And also, obviously, we're going to be playing a shit ton of this game when it comes out, and I'm getting a bit more excited for it now that we're seeing more of the game, which is something I've just been asking for a long time. We just need to see more characters, more cameos, because that's where all the meat and the bones is. Anyway, thank you dudes a ton for watching. Another shout out to WB Games for making this possible for us to even play the game early in some fashion to show off some of this stuff. My name is Max, and I'll see you next time.
Second guessing your choice to confront me?
I'm not regretting this yet.
It is you who will regret crossing me.
Incompetent.
Oh, that works.
I have had enough of you.
Then go, before I put you down like the rest of your Lin Kuei.
You haven't a prayer against the Lin Kuei's Grand Master.
Fight!
Sorry, but I have to ask. Can any fight? Are you sure you're a grandmaster?